He's going from 60 to 64 now. I thought 48 was already too much. A bunch of corrupt confederations, a bunch of criminals. These are all the big beneficiaries of all this. So this isn't about technical level competition or excitement. This is about money. Let's go. Let's criticize Infantino.
With the expansion to 104 games played in 39 days, how will the physical exhaustion and long trips between the three host countries, United States, Mexico, and Canada, set the pace of the competition?
I think it's going to be very decisive, right? It already is, right? It's a tournament played sometimes in high temperatures. The logistics become a crucial factor, right, man? Whoever has the best logistics, that really determines the outcome. It's not a good thing because maybe like this last game of the first stage, which usually sometimes turns into a game that I like, it won't be possible in many cases, right? He will have to play because of the logistics. Yeah, more than in any other World Cup. Like, logistics have become such a fundamental thing. You know, generally speaking, the teams have set up their base at the host city of the first stage and stayed there. If something goes off your plan, you find yourself in a logistical mess. Brazil itself, right, man? If he loses that logistical setup, what was planned for him, everything changes. He'll have to take much longer trips. That's really decisive. And then it's impossible for us not to talk about it since we were going to criticize Infantino. And that's the idea. It always is what Iran is going through. It's a real injustice. I won't even get into the merits of Iran's issues because there are a lot of problems there too, and so on. But what's happening with Iran, in terms of logistics is exactly what this World Cup is about. In the United States under the Trump administration. I mean, Iran doesn't have equal conditions in the competition. Yeah, that's a huge injustice. Iran has to travel and come back, unlike the other teams. So because of the logistics and the competition in the end will have a lot to do with that, right, man? Like with whoever is less worn out, whoever is arriving more prepared and so on.
The inclusion of this round of 32, an extra knockout round, right, changes the dynamics of the tournament. How much more dangerous the knockout stage has become for the teams considered to be big.
For those who keep getting knocked out, like us, always in these stages, it's gotten much more dangerous, right? And Brazil in particular is shaping up like this, right? Yeah, some really tough matchups for this current Brazil. So it's gotten much more dangerous in that sense. You have one more chance of getting knocked out, right, man? So yeah, without a doubt, in that sense, the danger has increased and even some excitement too.
The entry of 60 new teams democratizes global soccer or dilutes the technical quality we used to see in the group stage.
That's awesome, right, man? Because it shows how soccer is. It's amazing, right? Because Infantino and the men at FIFA, and we also have someone like Arsene Wenger, who was the coach of Arsenal, who. Nowadays, he's the guy who takes care of this technical part and gives the approval for it. But actually, he just plays the role of a rubber stamper, right? The businessmen create things, he approves them and says they're technically fine. So yeah, that was really cool. These guys didn't think about any emotion. They just thought about the business, right? About increasing the number of clubs. There's an interesting detail in this story that isn't being discussed much. Yeah, Infantino, in a way, he kind of repeats a lesson from Avalanche back in the day. What am I talking about? Avalanche back in the 60s and 70s had a great insight. Like every evil genius, which he was, he had a great insight. Increase the number of FIFA's electoral college to dominate. So what does he do? He opens FIFA to greater participation, mainly from African countries, and there was nothing democratic about it. All of that under the rhetoric of democratizing FIFA and so on. He had his eye on the voters by expanding this electoral college to gain more voters. And it's amazing that so many years later, decades later, Infantino is repeating this. But since he can't increase the electoral college anymore because Avalanche already thought of that back then, what did he do? He increased the number of participants in a World Cup. So this isn't about the technical level, the competition, the excitement. This is about money, right? About money and the electoral college. He secured the votes of all these teams. He tells Africa the same thing Avalanche said back then. Look, I'm going to expand it. You'll be able to vote, take part in the electoral college, and gain votes. He's retracing that path. But now he offers these guys a chance to play in the World Cup, not just those already in it, but those in Africa who dream of playing too. He opened the World Cup to Africa, so he'll get votes there and keep getting re-elected without much trouble. He'll get re-elected anyway. But he opened it up to more countries from Africa and Asia. So yeah, there's a lot of political and strategic genius in that. And scheming like with Avalanche before, but differently.
How do you deal with the likely technical gap on the field? Are we at risk of seeing humiliating and historic blowouts more often?
That's also what we were hinting at in the last question, which is the following. These guys, when they think about that, yeah, they don't think about the technical aspect. They don't think about any of that. They think about the business, about profit, about the commercialization of football, and so on. But soccer, it's so spectacular. I mean, soccer is so awesome that they do everything they can to ruin the game. But when those 90 minutes start, what are we seeing? What we're seeing is emotion. We're seeing some absolutely surprising matchups. We discover characters like Vozinha. We discover characters like the one from Curaçao. It's Cape Verde, Curaçao. They didn't come in because they were going to bring this emotion, because Infantino didn't care about that. He was thinking about money. But football is so awesome that the unpredictability of football, yeah, the thing about those 90 minutes, the game on the field, ends up asserting itself. I mean, those guys are bastards. Yeah, they think about money. But those 90 minutes end up giving you something that's way bigger than them, you know? That's why football is freaking awesome, you know? Because they think about money, but the game still manages to create emotion. Yeah, surprise. Yeah, anyway, football got the better of those guys.
Who really benefits most from the extra spots allotted to each continent? The confederations that historically had few spots, like Africa and Asia, or the traditional powerhouses that now will hardly ever fail to qualify? Except for Italy, right?
I think all of them, right, man? And then, yeah, like that other guy once said in Brazil, there's a big national agreement, but instead of a big national agreement, it's a big international agreement. A bunch of corrupt confederations, a bunch of crooks. These are all the big beneficiaries of this whole story.
And seeing debuting countries from emerging markets like teams from Oceania, Central America, or Central Asia scoring points in the World Cup, does that change the status of soccer in those places even if they get eliminated in the first round?
It's possible, man, but you know, we often, for example, have imagined how many years have we been talking about this, right? Now when Pelé went to play in the United States, for example, we said, now soccer is going to catch on in the United States. Then Beckham came. Now soccer is going to catch on. Now Messi comes. Now soccer is going to catch on. And this thing sometimes has a logic that's not quite what we imagine, right? It's a logic of people's culture, etc., which is a bit bigger than just simple participation. Participated, got a point, etc. So now soccer is going to catch on there. I think it has more to do with the culture of the people. So no, you can't say that just because a team did well, now soccer is going to catch on in that place and so on. So yeah, I don't think it's really about that. It depends.
And now for the viewer, Lúcio, does a marathon of up to 5 games a day in the group stage saturate the World Cup product or increase global engagement?
Yeah, that's a cool thing too. Because yeah, that's been happening. I haven't seen any numbers yet, right? But in general, what we keep hearing is that the number of viewers, the ratings have increased, as always. So, boom, in recent years, what have we been hearing? Yeah, some doomsayers saying, right, that look, nowadays 90 minutes is too much. People can't keep their attention for more than 5 minutes, which is very true. We're talking about a time now of messages and sped up audio, right? People don't have the patience to listen to a 30-second message. So, watching 90 minutes, then soccer comes and breaks all of that, right, man? Soccer, people are sitting in front of the TV for 90 minutes, etc. There are kids who are really into this. We need to wait for the numbers to settle to understand this. But like, the World Cup is such a unique thing that I think everyone feels the same way. 5 games a day, man, it's exhausting, but I'm loving watching it.
Now, looking to the future, do you think this format with 48 teams will remain for the next editions? And what's your favorite World Cup format?
That's the problem, right, man? It's those guys. We're dealing with people who don't think like we do, right? Their mindset is all about money, money, money. The problem is, like, I'm not stubborn just for the sake of being stubborn. I thought 48 was too much. It was just about commercialization. And it is. But like, things move forward. You can't fight against the facts either. It's been emotional. Okay, there's no going back from 48 now. The problem with these people's mindset is that they don't think like us, like I said. Infantino now, he has a very strong argument to go to 64. That's what he's going to want. Because then he says, see, you fought against 48 and it was wonderful. 64 will be too. And once again, his intention is not about the technical aspect. His intention is the market, it's votes, it's all of that. The problem is no longer the 48. The problem is, it's you anticipating that this is inevitable. Now he's going for 64, and then there will have to be a limit, right? At some point, yeah, obviously there's some excitement, but there are some very uneven matchups, right, man? With 48. And now you imagine that for 64. These guys have no limit. That's the problem.
And which one is your favorite?
No, I give in here at 48. Even though it's the result of some trickery, yeah, I give in here, all right, okay. For me, stop at that, that's good.
Great. To finish, send a message to Infantino.
I can't. Man, I already have too many lawsuits.